In an earlier video, we drove the XPENG G9 and that was an excellent experience, I have to say. That car is a Tesla Model Y competitor. Recently, we were also in Hong Kong for an XPENG event where we saw the XPENG MPV flagship car, the X9. That was huge, probably won't come here to the Netherlands anytime soon. But in the meantime, there is the car behind me, which is the XPENG G9. That's more a competitor for Audi e-tron, the big Mercedes SUVs, maybe Porsche Macan, those kind of cars. So it's big, powerful, spacious and jam full of technology. My name is Peter and I'm going to show you around this car, and obviously we're going to start here in the front. I think this is quite a striking vehicle. Here in this Panda white is not entirely my color, I have to say, but it is kind of cool to see all the contrasting bits, top, running lights, these big dark units and then the big dark bottom. It's kind of nice. I really like the contrasting look, even though I would prefer it in a darker color. The same that I said for the XPENG G6. That also came in Panda White as a review car. It's kind of nice to see the contrast, but I prefer it to be more stealthy that way. Adding to the contrast are these 19-inch Aero rims. This is the long-range version. Just like the G6, it comes in a standard range, long-range and all-wheel drive performance version. More on those powertrains in a bit. But this is the long-range version, so you get those Aero wheels for that extra little bit of range. And range you're going to get because this is a 93 kilowatt-hour battery, so more than plenty of range, but more on that later as well. Here on the side profile, you can really see how big the car is. I'm not a small person, but you know, with almost 5 meters, this is a large vehicle, as you can see. The wheelbase is about 3 meters, so that really works for the inside space. There is a lot of vehicle to work with to begin with, obviously, but the large wheelbase of 3 meters really adds to the interior volume, and the flat floor, obviously, because the bottom is all battery, really allows you to utilize that space. So if you're a family man, an entrepreneur, or somebody just needs a lot of space in its vehicle, this is certainly the one to go for. I also like that the design is very clean. There's no sort of weird things sticking out or active spoilers or other nonsense. It's just a nice, clean design without being offensive, without shouting about itself too much. Just all around, you know, clean lines and a good looking car. This one in particular has the roof rails optional for if you want to carry a ski box or something. And overall it's nice and sleek with these flush door handles that only pop out when you press it or when you unlock the car. Obviously we have to have a look at the boot space, because this is typically a car that you're going to use to transport a lot of people and therefore a lot of luggage as well. Luckily XPENG has you covered with this G9 because there is a lot of space. 660 liters just like this with the seats up. No issues whatsoever. 660 is more than enough. I'll sit in it just for scale. You can see that I can't sit up fully straight in here, but there is a lot of space back here. It's a nice big opening as well, so that makes it easier to load and unload stuff. There is floor space underneath the false floor, so that's where you can put tire changing kits, charging cables and so on. And there is also a 71-liter frunk all the way in the front, something that was not possible in the G6 for some reason. They've managed to do here, so that's also a nice place for some luggage or your charging cables and so on. When you put the seats fully down, you get an additional 1,000 liters, so then it's Christmas trees, washing machines, 2 refrigerators and your uncle. No issues whatsoever. And it's a nice square, huge opening, so the space is utilized pretty well. There is also a power socket and a subwoofer in the back, so that, you know, makes it a bit more complete, I suppose, and some tie-down points, something that was also for some reason not possible in the G6. So you got some hooks and some clips here that you can use to lash things down. Obviously, we've got to do a little cockpit tour around this G9. I say little, it's probably going to be a big tour because there's quite a lot to see. And we're not starting off well. There is some piano black here on the door around the window controls, and there is also the same piano black here on the steering wheel. The 2 places where you'll be touching the most. Somebody at XPENG had an aneurysm or something and said, yes, we should do that, because the rest of the car is completely piano black free. So it baffles me to see it here. In the G6 video, for example, there was no piano black in the whole cockpit. So I'm not sure why they've done it here. That said, the rest of the cockpit is piano black free, so that's good. And there is so much quality in here. It is absolutely great. It's fascinating to see how good the quality of this XPENG is, and of the Chinese cars in general. But XPENG in particular, obviously because we're sitting in it. But the quality is really, really in every way, shape and form on par and better than what the Germans are offering at the moment. So anybody that is still saying that it's cheap Chinese junk, that is absolutely a non-starter at this point in time. This is, I would say, definitely on par with anything Volkswagen is building, and if not better. The cockpit itself is actually quite a mix of tech but smart decisions. So if I start here on the left, for example, there's no button for the door. There's a simple door handle. No need to make that more complicated than it is. I'm not a fan of the buttons. I don't really understand why that's necessary. A door handle works perfectly fine. Here we have one. Simple window switches the way you want them to be. So that is also excellent. The steering wheel is the same. It is not festooned with buttons all over the place and capacitive nonsense. No, 2 scroll wheels and 4 buttons on each cluster, and that is all you really need. It's really smart. It's simple, it's elegant, it clears up the rest of the steering wheel for your hands and for normal driving, and it just makes life easy. Because all the information that you need, but also all the settings and all the adjustments in the car are going through the central screen. Now, I do admit that I prefer having a button for the mirrors, for example, because those are little corrections you like to make. Personally, when you're wearing a thick winter jacket, or if somebody tall sitting behind you, or you're like, oh, I'm just not comfortable, let's get up a little bit higher, then obviously the position of your mirrors is somewhat compromised. So I find it pleasant to be able to adjust that on the fly. Here you got to go in the screen and work the scroll wheels, and the same goes for adjusting the position of your steering wheel, for example. It's not ideal. That said, I also admit that you're not constantly adjusting your mirror, so it is not the end of the world either. There are places where they try to sort of manage it a little bit. For example, the temperature controls and the fan speed you can do with the wheel on the left and the buttons on the left. It's standard mapped to those. So up and down scrolling is temperature adjustment, and left and right pressing is airflow adjustment. That's fine. But for air direction, you then have to go to the screen, which we'll get to in a second. Behind the steering wheel, I have my drive selector and parking button. And if I double tap this, then it's cruise control. So that is nice and simple. No swiping in the screen, and no, it cleans up the middle console because there's no buttons or gear selector here. And on the left, I have a stalk for my wiper settings and my beams and my blinkers. So that is all fine too. If you want to go deeper into the light settings, you have to do it in the screen once more. There's also a screen behind the steering wheel, the driver's display, which is a bit bigger than in the G9, and it is great. It is simple, it's glanceable information, and it's all the information that you want while you're driving. This car does not have a head-up display option, so this is all you're going to get. But it's so nice that it's there. Because if you go the Tesla way and you do everything in the middle screen, I find it distracting to begin with, and it's also taking my attention away from the road. It's so nice to be able to look up and down in a straight line and see the information that I want to see, anything from my stated charge to the time to the navigation steps and so on, and not have to deviate my gaze too much to the middle screen. It's just nicer. I prefer it. It is just easier for me to keep focused on what I'm doing that way. And of course, I understand people in the comments that over time you're going to get used to that the speedo is over there. This one has it over there as a backup if you want to. So, you know, I understand it also eventually will work. But for me, this is just the pleasant way to do it. And especially because this car does not have a head-up display, this is excellent. It's a DIN audio, I don't know even how many speakers it is, but it has tweeters coming out of the dash. It has a subwoofer in the back. You can go completely crazy with your bonkers beats here. So that's really nice, really pleasant audio system and proper quality there too. If we go to the middle screen, where you will do everything, like I said, from settings to navigating to seeing what your car is seeing with all the cameras and sensors, this is the screen that you want in your car. I said the same thing in the G6. This is exactly how you want a screen to be. It's fast, it is informative, it does everything you want it to do, the way you want to do it. It's really, really nice. Especially since cars are so much built around these infotainment screens, it's just excellent. It just makes life so much easier if this works well. And XPENG has done a really good job in making this fluid, precisely the information you want when you want it. All the menus are easy and clear to work through, so that is great. Next to it is an infotainment screen with your videos, your Disney Plus, your YouTubes and so on for the passenger. And it's nice that it's polarized in such a way that me as the driver, I cannot directly look onto the screen and see what's happening. Obviously, if I start moving my head around, I could. But in general, I'm not distracted by the screen. So that's good too, and it's a nice bit of entertainment for your passenger if you so want to, but you can also just turn it off and leave it there. I know it's nonsense on the one hand. On the other hand, screens don't really cost that much anymore these days, so why not do it and offer a little bit extra? Then we get to the biggest gripe I have with this cabin, and that's the air conditioning. Not the unit itself, because it heats and cools just fine, but the way it's implemented. There's no adjustment here, no physical adjustment at all. Everything has to be done through the screen, which is highly annoying because I always prefer a button for temperature changes and so on. Like I said, they've done a bit of a workaround with the scroll wheel and the buttons on the steering wheel, so as far as adjustment goes, that's fine. But if you want to change the direction of the air, for example, you got to go to the Klima menu, then to the Extra menu, and then on the screen you got to fiddle around with where the air is going. Especially not because if I look behind me, there is a simple knob, left, right, up, down, for the rear passengers. So apparently for them it's possible, but here in the front it is too complicated. So I don't understand why they've gone for the screen solution where you can also just have a knob and a wheel. Much easier for everybody. So that's a missed opportunity. I do admit that it makes the design cleaner, sure, but it's just too cumbersome for adjustments. If your leg is getting cold, or if you're like, my neck or something, you got to go through these menus, and especially when you're driving, it's not nice. It doesn't work well, and it's not intuitive that way, I find. I mentioned that the software is so good. Little touches, like if I look at this Klima screen, I see exactly what I see in front of me in terms of cockpit. So the driver's display and the big display on the side. Even the cup holders and the charging pads are the same. Also, if I go to the overview for the seat massaging and so on, I have the same, the driver's display, the big display, the cup holder, everything matches. So they didn't take some kind of generic image of a car or of a generic XPENG. No, it matches to what I'm seeing right here. And that's little touches like that that make life not necessarily easier, but I mean, it's expensive, you pay a lot of money for this car, and it bothers me so much that Volkswagen, for example, you buy an expensive Tiguan and they can't get the color right on the screen. Come on, people. It's not necessary. And the Chinese do those things correct, and XPENG is one of them. So that is excellent, well done. And even the shape of the steering wheel is correct. So that makes me very happy, those little touches. Now, when I turn that off, the floating center console here has 2 charging pads for your phone, 2 cup holders, and a big bin here under the armrest that can open in 2 directions. And it also has an airflow dial here for some cooling, so that's excellent. There is a glove box in this car. It wasn't one in the G6, so you have some storage down there too, and not everything has to go in here. But yeah, this can open both ways. Underneath there is another big storage area lined with felt with a USB-A, a USB-C, and your 12-volt socket right there. And that is all your storage together with the non-lined door bins. So things will definitely rattle here, but they're nice and open and accessible, so that is quite nice. Last but not least, the seats. Very comfortable, 19-fold adjustable with massaging, heating and cooling here in the front. The rears also get massaging and heating, but no cooling. But this can go completely flat, massage your back, do the whole thing while you're charging, so that's fantastic. And they're nice and comfortable. They're not too buckety. They do offer a little bit of support, but also not too much. But in general, they suit the character of the car really well. And they're comfortable and pleasant to sit in. Provide me with a good overview of the whole car. Helped obviously by a little bit of light from the panoramic roof. And yeah, overall you feel, not on top of the car, but inside the car. So it's a nice place to be as far as that goes, which is necessary because this is a large vehicle. And this vehicle is also not one that will shrink around you, as we like to say as journalists. You always feel that this is a big vehicle. So, a good driving position is certainly key. Nothing really to complain here, except for the piano black and the Klima mistake. But overall, it's a pleasant place to be here. Just like the G6, there's not much to choose in terms of your interior. Everything you see here is standard, so that is excellent. You can pick from 3 color options though, so that is nice, instead of 2 in the G6. And overall you feel the quality. You feel that it is an elevated product above the G6 in terms of what you're getting, obviously with the extra screen and the fantastic audio system. But overall the quality is good, it feels nice, everything is solid and exactly what you want it to be. So yeah, pretty good cabin. Obviously a little bit of driving in this XPENG G9, and we are currently on the highway in its natural habitat. This is a car that is very comfortable on the cruise. Currently doing about 120 kilometers an hour. It's so nice, it's quiet, it's refined. This is the place where this car feels at home. At no point in time will this car shrink around you, like we journalists like to say, and become, you become one with the car. That is never the case. This is a large vehicle at all times. You notice it when you walk up to the car, you notice it when you sit down, and you certainly notice it while you're driving as well. It has enough power, but you notice on acceleration that it's big, you notice on braking that it's big, so there's no way around the fact that this car is large. But here on the highway, that is certainly not a bad thing. You have a bit more breathing space here, and this car feels right at home. We have the big battery pack in this long range version, so it is an excellent cruiser. If I look at my range right now, I'm at 33% with 161 kilometers left. So that gives you a bit of an idea of the range that you can expect from this car. And it's nice to have this large battery pack underneath. Because also when it gets a bit colder, or when you drive a bit faster, or when there's a lot of headwind, those kind of things impact your range quite a lot. And then it's nice to have this big battery capacity to sort of mitigate those circumstances. So that's nice, you can rely on it, and it's always pleasant. On top of that, this car can charge at 300 kilowatts, which is excellent because especially when you're driving long distance and you have to stop next to the highway, you want to stop as short as humanly possible. So the higher charging speed, the better. And with that kind of speed, you can punch this battery full so quick and be on your way. It's just so much nicer. And you can always argue that you don't need 300 kilowatts of charging, and it's all not necessary. Of course, most of the time you'll be charging this at home and there won't be any issues because you'll be charging it overnight. But when you need to stop, you want to stop as short as possible, and then it's nice to have this charging capability of this 800-volt platform. Obviously the back seats are important too, so let's have a look what we get for somebody my size, 183 and about 90 kilos. Large opening, so that's a good start. Easy to carry child seats and such inside, and as you can see, somebody my size easily fits back here. I have about a hand width of space to the front seats, which are about in my position. So even for somebody my size, there's more than plenty of space in this whole luxury back interior. So I moved one spot over to show you how much space there is here in the back. It is such a nice place to be. It is all around great materials, space and air. Everything you want from back seats. There are a few mistakes, chief among which is the piano black on the door handle, same as in the front. I have no clue why it's here and who decided to do that. It's absent in the rest of the car. Why put it here on the spots that you touch the most? Mind-blowing. But the door has a lot of features. Obviously I got my window switches, which is pretty traditional, but there's also a switch for reclining the seat. So if I press that, you can see that my seat slowly reclines backwards. Now that is obviously to add a bit to the comfort, even though it will eat into your boot space somewhat. In the G6 it was a handle that you can manually operate it. Here it is a button for that extra luxury feel. It is luxury back here. The materials are the same as in the front. We got the same great speaker set here in the back, and all around it's a very pleasant place to be without overdoing it. So there's no screens in the back, for example, to play games and to watch Netflix. There's not even a screen or touch point or anything to adjust the temperature. All that has to happen in the front. But the voice command is smart and recognizes where the sound is coming from. So if you give a voice command to the system that you want your seat heated or you want your massage turned on, you can do so, and the system will recognize that it's coming from here and that somebody's sitting here and apply it to this seat. So that works. We do have manual ventilation options in terms of direction, and that is something they don't have in the front. So it's a weird choice that it's possible here but not in the front. We also got some USBs down there to charge your children and everybody else back here. And that is about it in terms of comfort features, apart from the seat pocket and the door pockets. The seats back here are plush and comfortable, and as you can see, somebody my size easily fits here. You can easily transport 3 adults back here, providing they're not too broad-shouldered. But even if they are, you can move in a little bit and make space. I'll sit in the middle just for scale. Obviously this is a bit harder and higher because it's not a full-size seat like the seats on the outside. But transporting myself 3 times with this car should definitely be possible for a short journey, albeit. The space on the floor back here is something definitely to mention, because they haven't made the mistake of moving that tunnel between the front seats all the way to the rear. So I can easily move my feet around freely without even having to turn them. So that is something that really adds to the feeling of space back here and really makes it easy not only to get in and out or to move people across the bench, but also to put things in here and stuff in our extra large items that you might have to transport, like a TV or something that doesn't fit in the rear for some reason. Then you can fit it here, no issues whatsoever. So that's really nice and really clever from XPENG to design the back seats this way, that it's a pleasant place to be and you don't really have to think about who you throw back here. Everybody, your uncle, senior citizens, babies, everything will be comfortable here. So that's great. So there's really nothing going wrong back here. Even the light, because obviously we have a tinted panoramic roof and tinted windows, the light is still plentiful. With this whole dark interior, it is easy to get a car claustrophobic, even a car this size. But there's so much light coming in, and there's so much information coming to the front that at no point has anybody in the week that I had this car now that sat here in the back felt claustrophobic in any way, shape or form. So that is very, very well done. So all those boxes are ticked, and then when you sit here on the highway, you sit nice and high up, you have excellent overview, you have all your radar systems and cruise control systems on, you have the excellent DIN audio sound system on, and it's just a pleasant vehicle to cover distance in. Obviously the size invites you to do that too, because with my kids in the back, with more than plenty of luggage space, you can even put a ski box on the roof. It just invites you to make those journeys as well. So that is excellent for somebody like me who does most of its holidays and trips, especially within Europe, all by car. It's just a nice vehicle to have that way. And these kind of vehicles, they offer so much capability. It's no different with its competitors. Big battery, long range, luxury, pleasant driving. It's all very, very nice. And sitting here in this excellent chair with my massage function on, with my seat heating and cooling on, the rear passengers, same thing. It's just so much nicer to cruise this way when all this capability comes together. Now, when you take this car out of the highway context and put it in a city context, obviously things change a little bit. It is all very soft and very pleasant, obviously, but when you have to maneuver, it is still a very large vehicle. Certainly not something that you just punch into a parking spot without thinking about it. So that is certainly something to take into consideration, that when the spaces get a bit tighter, this is still a very large vehicle. Luckily, with all the cameras and all the sensors, you'll be more than fine to deal with those situations, but it does require a bit of adaptation once you get to those smaller spaces. The driving itself is very soft and very light, so to speak. It is not a boat or anything by any means. You still have some connection to the front wheels and you know what the car is doing most of the time. But this is a car that is by no means some kind of sport machine, mountain pass destroyer or anything like that. There's better cars for that from other brands. I'm thinking Porsche Macan, maybe even a Porsche Cayenne. Those cars have a lot more driving feel, if you want to call it that way. This is more a cruising car in comfort and style. All around though, the driving experience is nice. You set everything up obviously in the screen. Personally, I haven't messed around with the modes too much. Just leave it in normal and you have more than enough acceleration and steering feel, and all is well there. And the sport mode, I don't think really adds anything. You could go for eco for that little bit of extra range, but in reality, does that really matter? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe if you're on a dedicated long road trip or something. But most of the time, normal mode is just fine. You're easily fast enough, especially for Dutch traffic, but even abroad in countries like Germany where they drive a little bit faster, you have enough capability in this middle of the range version of this car. Obviously, when you go to the all-wheel drive sport version with well over 500 horsepower, things might get a little bit more crazy. I'm not sure if that is strictly necessary. I don't really think this car invites to a lot of, like hardcore sporty driving. I think this middle of the range one with the long range battery and the rear wheel drive motor is just pleasant for all round cruising and driving. I don't think I would pick this as the car to drive my kids to sports and swimming lessons and so on. It's a bit big for that and it's a bit cumbersome in those small spaces, around parking areas and so on. If this is your only car, obviously, you're gonna have to and you'll be fine. But there's better cars for that. If this is your primary vehicle for family transportation and so on, you're going to be very happy with the way this car performs, behaves and drives all around. There's not much to complain. I mean, the interior is pleasant, the driving experience is pleasant, the overall space in here really is excellent and really invites you for a relaxing journey. So all around it is pretty impressive. After a week with this XPENG G9, what do I make of it? Well, considering this is a car that starts at 60,000 euros here in the Netherlands, it is an awful lot of car for the money. The one we have here is the long-range version, rear-wheel drive, that is 64,000, and then for an additional 74,000, you can go to the all-wheel drive performance version. So that's quite the step. I think from the lineup, this is certainly the one to go for. I don't think the standard range makes any sense. If for 4,000 more, you can get the bigger battery, more range and everything. So definitely go for this one. For me personally, it's too big. I am more of a G6 person. This is more than I need. If I could afford it, I would probably get it. But you know, for that kind of money, I'll keep it to myself and buy a G6 and go on a nice holiday. Overall though, this car is impressive. I think the car that XPENG shows here, the platform it shows, the technology inside, the performance, the ease of use, all those things are going really, really well. Apart from that, the quality is excellent. The days that Chinese car manufacturers made cheap stuff on a budget are long gone. This is easily on par with something that Volkswagen makes. Maybe not quite Audi or Porsche quality yet, but it is getting awfully close. So if you are in the market for a car this size, I think this is definitely one to at least have a look at and a test drive in, because you'll be quite surprised on how good it actually is. And I think that is credit to XPENG for sure, to build a platform like this and a technology base like this that is certainly worth its weight. I wouldn't say in gold, but definitely can compete with anything the Europeans have to throw at it. That's all I got for you in this video. Thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you like it, and let us know in the comments below if you want to see more of these kind of cars. Not only this particular size, but also the Chinese cars and the slightly less known and less legacy sensitive brands. Let us know, because we can really use that feedback and give you better videos that you want to see. For now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers!